Welcome back to the show. I appreciate you being here, and I have to admit it, I haven't done one of these in a while, so the UFO and mysterious cases are piling up on my desk. So in today's video, we're going to look at two UFO videos and clips that we try to debunk and explain, and one alleged evidence of structures on Mars. Okay, I'm sure all of you guys remember the face on Mars. It looked a bit like that. It was taken by NASA's Viking 1 orbiter in 1976. And then later investigation, like for example this image here of Mars Global Surveyor that was taken in 2001, revealed that it's just a bunch of rocks and it's not a face. So I'm sure we all heard about that story, but we haven't heard about the face on Earth. There's a face on Earth. Check it out. There it is. I think it's made of snow. No, it might be melted by now. I don't know. But the face on Earth exists. There are faces everywhere. But we are not looking at a face on Mars today. We are actually looking at something that looks like the remains of a building or a structure, a rectangular structure that has been photographed on Mars. Let's take a look at it, but before we do it, don't forget to smash the like button. It really helps me out. Please also consider subscribing, maybe leave me a comment. All these things would be greatly appreciated. But let's look at this alleged archaeological site on Mars, as it's titled by UFO Mania. Now, this is the image in question, okay? And everyone can go and take a look at this image yourself on Image Explorer that publishes the images that the Mars Orbiter camera has shared. And if you type into the search bar E1000 and then 462, just what you see here, you get an image that looks a little bit like this. And it's a very long stripe, right? A very long stripe of Mars. And you can zoom in all the way to the top. And there you see the structure, right? You see this? Can we go full screen? Yes, we can. Okay, so there it is, right? It looks somewhat rectangular, almost squared. Now, the Twitter account that I just referenced was so kind to put a rectangle over it, right? So you can see the structure here is somewhat rectangular. Someone also went through the effort and calculated how big this structure is and came to the conclusion that it's roughly 2 kilometers. So each one of these sides is 2 kilometers in length. Presumably the one that goes this way is slightly shorter because it seems, again, it's not squared, it's rectangular. On the same website where these photos are published, we can also see where this image was taken and where it is located. And it is located in a crater. So just for reference, you can see the long striped image here, right? This is the long striped one image. I assume it's kind of stitched together from other images, but I don't know. So that long stripe is positioned inside this crater here. And that means that the image in question, the structure we're talking about, is at the very tippity top here of that stripe. So just on the edge of this crater. And that tells me personally, and by no means I'm a Mars expert or whatever, but that tells me that possibly pieces of the crater could have crumbled down over time. I mean, if it would be in the very center down here, slightly different story, but it being on the very edge of this crater, you know, pieces can crumble down, rocks can get loose and fall down the edge of the crater and then position themselves kind of in the way we see here. Also, if you take this shape, and I'm going to drop this into Photoshop real quick. Oh, look, it just recovered the Dr. Stephen Greer CE5 cereal. It's so good it will bend your spoon cereal that we mocked up in our last live stream, okay? Don't miss the next live stream where we do incredible stuff like this. So if we look at this image and connect the points that are seemingly the edge points of this rectangle, right? So we're going from here down to somewhere to here, down to somewhere here, and then maybe up here, right? And then we give it a little bit of an outline here, right? So you can see the actual structure that we're proposing, or people are proposing to be like an archaeological site here. And then we overlay it with an actual perfect rectangle. You can see that actually it doesn't really line up. It somewhat lines up, right? It almost looks like a perfect rectangle, but it does not have perfect 90-degree angles. And I guess you can say, you know, if it's some kind of very old, ancient archaeological site, then maybe the corners have moved slightly. And you can make that point, I guess. I'm just saying it is not a perfect rectangle as it's being implied by some of these posts that we see on Twitter with these little animations where they're like, oh my God, it's a perfect rectangle. It's just not, okay? So look, I can't give this the debunk stamp. I don't know what it is. I'm pretty sure it's not an ancient ruin on Mars. That is, to me, just very unlikely. I think this is probably a case of pareidolia effect, right? Which is the effect where you start to see things in other things, and we like to do that as humans. Show us anything and we start to see faces in it and objects, and here we just by chance see a rectangular shape. And I mean, let's be honest, a lot of these shapes in here are seemingly completely random. It's just buried rocks under sand. And even some of the shadows up here, right, that seem to indicate like this more or less straight wall and the shadow that comes down here, this can be a very similar effect like we've seen it with the face of Mars, where it looks like a face, it looks like cheeks and eyes and mouth, but then once the light changes, you see it actually is not even that. So I think this is probably a combination of coincidences, rocks that by chance have landed in a rough arrangement like that, play of shadow and light which amplify that illusion even more, and then you get an image like that. But look, I don't know, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Do you think there's something to it? Does this look like an actual image of a ruin or something on Mars to you? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below, I'm curious to hear it. And one argument that you keep seeing being made in the replies to posts like this is same that you see here. Nature doesn't produce right angles, okay? It's just not a thing. You guys have to realize nature does not do right angles, and then someone replies with this. I don't know what these crystals are called, but they are a thing and they do grow like this. I mean, it's true that you don't see right angles in nature necessarily, but dude, if you have a planet like Mars, I'm sure you can find certain stone formations, at least one like the one we see here, that seems to imply right angles. It's just a game of chance. And again, considering that it's on the edge of a crater. I'm not buying it, okay? I don't think evidence of aliens. But let me know your thoughts. Moving on. Next, I want to talk about a series of videos, right? It's a phenomenon, a reoccurring visual phenomenon that we keep seeing within the field of ufology and UFO videos. So they always look like this, okay? Check this out. And someone titled them tadpole-shaped UFOs, okay? And I quite like that because that's how they look. It's like a long stripe that seems to be moving across the sky. This one allegedly has been recorded in late 2024 in Brazil, Sao Paulo. People are like, what is it? What is it? How would they say that in Brazil? But people are confused, right? So zooming in and they're analyzing the video. I think this is another one. Possibly a different video of the same object, right? You can see it. There's a slightly brighter light in the front of it and it pulls like this trail of light behind it. So that's, I guess, where the tadpole reference comes from. And especially in recent years, we get more and more videos like this. I've spoken about similar videos in previous videos of mine, but here's another one, right? This was recorded by his friend yesterday. I don't know where. Again, it's also in Brazil. So again, it might be the same object. We don't know the exact date, but you can tell that it looks somewhat similar, right? It's these elongated stripes, cigar-shaped UFOs, if you want, flying through the sky, being very brightly illuminated. And people are puzzled, right? People don't know what it is. And that is understandable. If I would see something like this, I would probably not immediately be able to identify what it is. It is an unusual object flying through the sky, but there is an earthly explanation for it. Here is another very similar example, and this one, I think, for most of you guys, it will give away what we're looking at here, okay? Because this is not like the classic tadpole we just looked at with like maybe a slightly brighter light in the front and then a tail behind it. But this is the same, but it's pulled apart. Okay, you can see that the stripe of light, the cigar-shaped object, is being pulled apart into many smaller objects here, okay? And I think that gives away what we are potentially looking at here. And it's Elon's Starlink, okay? These are Starlink satellites, and that's how they look when they launch. We looked at it in previous videos. Sometimes they almost look like a train or something driving into the sky, right? But it is just a perfect line of satellites that are aligned, that glow before they go up into the stratosphere, into some kind of orbit, and then they disperse and all go their own way. But when they are launched, that's how they look. So whenever you see a stripe of light or something that looks like a glowing cigar-shaped object in the sky, it's probably Starlink, okay? But I understand why people are confused by it. It's unusual and not immediately identifiable, but I give it to... Okay, because that one is pretty much explained. Now let's look at the last one, and this one had me intrigued as well, okay? It was recorded over New Jersey, guess what, okay? It was part of the whole New Jersey drone wave, but it's just 18 days ago, so it's a late entry into the New Jersey drone wave story, I guess. Now, the original poster writes in this post, what the F is this one? It's the biggest I've ever seen. Mystery UAP drone reported in Brick, New Jersey, okay? And he's linking to the original post on Twitter, but here we can see the video as well. So let's check it out. Does it have audio? It does have audio. Okay.
I'm doing a video.
I can see that. Yeah.
This is absolutely crazy.
That's crazy, guys. That's insane. What is it? Holy macaroni, the camera won't focus. What is it?
What the f*** is this one?
What is it?
This is the biggest I've ever seen.
Right. Incredible camera work there by the camera woman.
It's a big plane. It's flying way too low.
Now, I agree with her that this object looks somewhat strange. Obviously, it's blinking, right? So immediately you're like, yeah, it's probably a plane. And she kind of suggested that as well there at the end of the video. But I mean, look at the layout. How weird is that, right? Those two lights in front and then the blinking lights. That's just weird, right? You have one, I don't know, that looks almost like it's at the front of the plane. And then one that's just on the left of the plane. Is it a mystery drone? Is this the ultimate evidence we've been waiting for? Is it actually whatever these drones claim to be at this point? But I have got news for you guys. It's not. But I still love the comments, okay? Only going to get bigger. That's what he said. Isn't that what she said? There's no way that this person is from Brick and hasn't seen thousands of military planes flying low over the area over the years. They live right next to the Air Force base. For fuck's sake, bro. Come on. Okay, now we know that there's an Air Force base very close by. And again, there's always the question of what is the intent of these people, right? Do they just want to farm clicks? Are they fully aware of what they're filming? She said as well, like, it looks like a big plane. The light configuration is somewhat confusing, but the commenters were right and her gut feeling was right as well. It is a plane, an unusual plane though, okay? It's a C-17 plane. You can kind of see the same layout here, right? With the lights in the front, the light underneath here, the collision light, and then there's one red light seemingly in the middle of that wing on the left-hand side, and the same light on the right-hand side seems to be obstructed by this engine. So that's why we only see one light, and in the dark, that light configuration looked somewhat strange. So another drone over New Jersey that turned out just to be a plane, like about 98% of them. So considering there's an airbase close by, considering how close of a match this is, and considering that even she said it looks like a low-flying plane, it's debunked, okay? It's nothing unusual. It's just a plane, all right? But a little bit of an unusual plane. So there we go. All right, another 3 mysteries. I don't want to say solved, but at least we offered some answers that are not aliens, all right? But maybe you think some of these were aliens. Let me know your thoughts, especially on that structure on Mars, right? That one is somewhat intriguing. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, maybe join our Discord. The link to that is in the description. I would love to meet you over there. Thanks again so much for watching. I appreciate your time, you being here, watching the video all the way to the end. You're great. Tap yourself on the back, okay? You deserve it. I see you in the next one. I'm out. Bye.